Well, welcome to the ScoreRewards Partnership Program webinar. We're glad you could all make it today. We've had a pretty good turnout. We're excited to present some great material to you. First order of business, my name is Mark Cowan. I will be your moderator for today's webinar. And we're excited to introduce to you this amazing new program and fill you in on all the details for getting a free scoreboard at your athletic facility. But before we get going, let me take care of a few housekeeping details about how we can interact during this presentation today. If you have a question or would like to comment on any of this information, please use the question portion of your pull-down screen to type a question. I will then relay these questions to Mike and Jay throughout the webinar and as time allows to get an answer to your questions. If you don't get an answer to your specific question, please call us at our toll-free number that you'll see later on in the show, and we'll get you the information you need. And any question, we definitely just give us a ring. We're here to answer all your questions. Again, thank you for attending today's webinar, and let me introduce to you today's presenters. First of all, we have Jay Hammock. Jay Hammock is a top sales and marketing professional. As a 7-year scoreboard sales pro, Jay has worked closely with customers on many major projects and is instrumental in getting the best equipment at the best prices to the end customers. Recently, Jay was promoted to manage the ScoreRewards Partnership Program and to coordinate and manage the sales team for this exciting new project. Jay is very scoreboard savvy, and his experience and knowledge will ensure you will get the ideal scoreboard to upgrade your facility. Also, let me introduce you Mike Daniel. Mike is a sales and marketing professional and has worked in various roles for major manufacturers in the consumer packaged goods industry. Throughout his career, he has worked closely with several globally recognized companies such as Walmart, CVS Pharmacies, and AC Nielsen. An avid sports fan, Mike understands the funding pressures that school and local athletic programs face. Mike recently has been promoted to CEO of Sportable Scoreboards and has been intricately involved with the implementation of the ScoreRewards Partnership Program. That being said, let me hand it over to Mike Daniel.
Very good, Mark. We appreciate that introduction and very much appreciate your taking time to join us today on this webinar. We're very excited. This is intended to be your session. We have a lot of folks that have joined us today. We love GoToWebinar. We've done several of these in the past, and it's a great medium for us to use. We can see each of you that have attended. We see you out there. As Mark shared, your phones are muted, but we can and would welcome your input throughout the webinar today. So just ask questions as they come up. Mark will field those and we'll get those over to Jay or myself, and we'll get those questions addressed. If it's a question that we take offline, we'll certainly do that. So anyway, I want to encourage you to participate and to ask questions as we move through this today. We'll try to keep it at about 45 minutes. I don't think we'll go any longer than that. But again, if you have questions that we need to take offline, don't hesitate to ask and get in touch with you, and we'll certainly have some next steps as we conclude the session today and have phone numbers and so forth. So we'll get started. You know, the question that has likely led you to this webinar is very simple, and that's how would you like free scoreboards for your organization? And it's really no more straightforward than that. There's no other way to really to more simply say it. How would you like free scoreboards? And we'll walk through that. Now, the obvious question is, how could this be? It sounds too good to be true. There has to be some type of a catch. Well, there isn't. There really is not a catch. As we walk through the webinar today, you'll learn how that your facility can not only be equipped with new scoring equipment, but also much more. And so there is not a catch to this as we move through it.
Yeah, the ScoreReward system in a nutshell, what we'll be doing is we'll be providing you with new scoreboards that will fit over the face of your existing boards. We will be installing electronic message centers that mount above each one of those scoreboards. Then we'll be going out and we'll be soliciting advertisers that will display their messages on those message centers. And it's a 5-year agreement between the partner organization, whether it be a park or a school, and ourselves, Sportable Scoreboards. And one of the best parts about this program is not only will you be getting new scoreboards, but in years 3 through 5 of that agreement, we'll actually be splitting the proceeds with your organization. So it's a great way to get new equipment for your fields as well as a whole new source of revenue.
Yeah, that's a great point, and we'll talk a lot about that as we go through this today, and we're going to hit you with a fire hose of information. So we'll take care of going through this in more detail as we move along. But the point that Jay's making is a very good one. This is not just about obtaining free scoring equipment for your field. This is also about creating a revenue stream in subsequent years of this agreement, a revenue stream that most likely does not exist, and we'll move through that as well. As far as Sportable Scoreboards goes, just a little bit about ourselves, and we've got a couple of slides on this. Sportable has been in business. We are a family-owned business. We have been in the scoreboard industry for more than 25 years. We actually celebrated our 25th anniversary last summer, so now we're into our 26th year. So the point being that we are extremely well versed in the scoring industry. We know this business, we know the industry, and throughout this tenure with Sportable Scoreboards, we have become incredibly in tune and well attuned to the youth sports market. Youth sports is something that we're extremely passionate about. I heard just the other day, I was listening to a radio spot, and it mentioned it was from a local high school, the state high school athletic association. It was speaking to the value of high school sports, and that's something that is near and dear to our hearts at Sportable Scoreboards. There are so many life lessons that can be learned and gained through youth sports, and I know with this group, we've got a great group that's joined us on the webinar today. Most likely, many of you are, if not athletic directors, have been coaches, and I know we've got a diverse group. We also have not only schools represented on the call today, but also some park and rec directors as well, some from local parks. So I don't have to give you the spiel on the value of youth sports, but I'll tell you that we are extremely passionate about youth sports at Sportable Scoreboards. The problem is, unfortunately, the public funding for athletics continues to decline. And I'm not telling anyone any new news when I share this slide with you. Public funding for athletic programs continues to be difficult. It's a problem that has most likely led you to attend the webinar today.
So where's the money going to come from to upgrade fields, to maintain the current level that you've already worked towards? That's what we're going to talk to you about today. That's one of the ways that we can come in and help. What we'll be talking about today is we will be telling you exactly who we are, who Sportable Scoreboards is, who ScoreRewards is. We'll tell you more about the partnership program ScoreRewards. We'll also be telling you about how you can become a partner in the ScoreRewards program. Then we'll be going through a little bit of the installation, how we'll actually be installing the scoreboards and the tech service side of it, and going through some of the most common questions we've received. Then we'll open up the floor to a little Q&A.
And that's the back part of that Jay just shared with you is probably some of the most significant. We'll share with you the program as Jay shared with you a moment ago. We'll go through that in more detail, but we'll get into these FAQs, questions that we are already being asked and have been asked by a lot of folks, and then the Q&A section at the back end of this, which would really be your time. Ask questions all along. Don't wait for that. If we're covering a topic and you have a question, go ahead and shoot. Throw that over. Mark will get it to us. We'll either address it at the time or we'll hold it for the end. But again, let this be your opportunity to ask as many questions as you see fit.
Even after the program, if there's something that a question that occurs to you, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have offline.
Okay, so as far as who we are at Sportable Scoreboards, I shared with you a moment ago that we've been in the scoreboard business. We are a leading manufacturer of athletic scoring equipment for more than 25 years. We're into our 26th year, have a great rating with our friends at the Better Business Bureau. We have literally thousands of customers that are scattered throughout the country. And Jay, this is not just little leagues. I mean, it really spans the gamut from little leagues all the way on up.
Oh, definitely. We sell worldwide. I personally have sold scoreboards that have been shipped over to Europe. Not too long ago, sent an entire container full of scoreboards to Guam. Some of the people you may have heard of that we've sold to is we've sold to a lot of pro ball teams, a lot of pro football teams and basketball teams. I believe somebody's on the phone the other day with the Dallas Cowboys. They're needing a new set of shot clocks for one of their facilities, and so it's not uncommon for that to take place.
Yeah, so it's the point being that not just throughout this country, and certainly not just limited to the youth market. We've sold scoreboards from, again, NFL teams, to Jay's point, all the way through youth leagues, little leagues, and so forth. So Sportable has been in the business for 25 years, very strong in this industry. A lot of customers, literally thousands of customers throughout this country and beyond. We have a state-of-the-art our facility, which we manufacture in, is located in Kentucky. Part of the value of that, among other things, it's a very lean operation. The value from a customer's perspective is it's very fast turnarounds. We have easily the fastest lead times, the shortest lead times in the industry, and some technical support that is unprecedented, literally 24/7 technical support that we'll be speaking with Jay about a little bit later on through the session.
Yeah, these photos actually you're seeing on the screen now, that's actually photos of our facility here in Murray, Kentucky, the production floor. That's actually one of our tech service guys there, the fellow in the white shirt.
Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper, and we're kind of taking this in waves as we move through this. Jay gave you the 30,000-foot view. We'll take it down a little bit here in this pass at describing the ScoreRewards program. But basically, the program, in a nutshell, means that you will receive a new scoreboard and new LED message center, electronic message center, for each existing scoreboard that you currently have at your facility. ScoreRewards will not only provide the equipment, we will also handle and manage all of the installation of each scoreboard. And in addition to that, and this is a point we'll get into a little later in more detail, in addition to that, we will locate and manage advertisers for the message center. And you know that part of it can't be understated. Each of you, and again, we're looking at a group from across the country here, a big group that's on this call. You likely are resource strapped. I'm sure that nobody on this webinar sits back and thinks, okay, I've got plenty of resources to do all of these things. Quite frankly, if you had the resources, you would likely already be doing these things. So we will manage not just the equipment piece of this, but we'll also manage the advertisers as well. The ScoreRewards partnership really begins with it's a 5-year partnership agreement. Okay, that we would enter an agreement with you, with your high school, with your park, for a 5-year agreement, and that we would take care of that paperwork side of that. After year 2, and your facility's upgraded immediately. Okay, after year 2, so in the 3rd year of this agreement, your facility, which has been updated, will begin to receive this consistent stream of revenue that you can use towards your athletic program or however else you choose to use that. And there is no catch. There is not risk at this. There is not catch. Certainly not a catch in it. Jay alluded earlier to the revenue stream, and we want to make sure we really drive that home, that is a huge piece of what we're doing with ScoreRewards.
Yeah, any opportunity for an organization to receive additional funding without having to hire anybody new, without having to spend any money up front, I think is a great opportunity.
Okay, so what happens next? Well, at the end of the partnership, and that's at the end of the initial 5-year agreement, you own the scoreboards, you own the message centers, and we'll talk a little bit about what are the options at the end of that 5-year period. But you own the equipment completely at the end of the 5-year program, and again, we will hope to extend that and continue to move forward with you and your organization. That would certainly be our intent. But at the end of 5 years, you would own each of the pieces of equipment.
Okay, some of the steps are actually these steps to becoming a partner. First of all, give us a call. That's simple enough. Give us a call. Talk to one of our inside reps. They can work on setting up an appointment with you, possibly with one of our outside reps who will come and see you in person. They can also give you greater details, answer any questions you may have, everything else. Once you've spoken to us, what they'll do is we will send over a site survey form to your organization. The site survey form is basically, it's asking basic questions about your existing scoreboards. How many you have, what the sizes of each one of them are, as well as they'll ask you to take some digital photos of the existing scoreboards and return all of that information, the site survey form with the photos, to us.
And that site survey form really is kind of the first lay of the land type of a discussion that we have. That's our initial pass at understanding, okay, what boards are in place, what are the sizes of those boards, and so forth.
Exactly. The site survey form will actually allow us to determine the total project cost. And once we've determined the total project cost, that'll allow us to look at the number of sponsors that are needed for the project, as well as what the buy-in price for each one of those advertisers will be. So once we've determined the number of advertisers necessary, what equipment exactly you'll need, the buy-in price for each of the advertisers, we will put together a partnership agreement and send that over to you. The partnership agreement is a fairly simple form. Like we mentioned earlier, it's a 5-year agreement between us. It lays out exactly what we will provide you as far as scoring equipment, as well as some basic outline of how much you can expect to receive in money in years 3 through 5.
I got a couple questions coming in. Paul's been asking a couple of questions about who's responsible for repairs was one of his questions, as well as he had a question about refacing. Is it a new scoreboard, or what kind of board are we getting? Both those questions I think will be answered a little further in the webinar. But do you guys want to field anything?
Paul, thanks for the questions. We'll touch base on both of those answers as we move through this. But the short answer is very quickly, during this initial 5-year period, this 5-year agreement that Jay just described to you, we own the scoreboards, which means that we deal with and address any technical issues that should arise, and that would be a rare instance. Now, having said that, there would be some very basic guidance that we would likely need from your folks, having been walked through with our phone techs. Our scoreboards and scoring equipment is extremely simple, and it's as far as any type of repair work. And so we would be responsible. We may need some very limited assistance from your maintenance guy. Very straightforward. Relative to the question on scoreboards, we'll spend a little bit of time on that. Let's just kind of table that for just a minute. It's a great question, and we've got a couple of slides on that. Just to pick up on, Mark, are we good on questions for now? Okay. Just to pick up on Jay's last point on this slide that you see now, the revenue expectations. That's the question that everyone wants to know. Okay, I get my head around. If I'm a park director or athletic director, I understand that I'll get new scoring equipment at no charge. Okay, that's easy enough. The question then becomes, okay, what type of revenue stream would I anticipate out of this program? And so we've got a couple of slides on that as we move through this in a few minutes that will help to answer that, just to be directional, just to give you an example. But to Jay's point, the agreement itself that we would enter, the 5-year agreement, would specify those parameters of revenue expectations.
Exactly. Okay, so first of all, you fill out the site survey form. That allows us to put together the partner agreement. Once we've sent over the partner agreement to you, you've looked over it, everything looks great, sign off on it, send it back to us. That'll give us the go-ahead to go out and start seeking out these advertisers. We will contact your local Chamber of Commerce, possibly your local Rotary Club. We'll ask you to provide us the list of potential sponsors. It's your town. You know these people better than we do. So we'll ask you for just some basic information regarding some of the people in your area that you think would make good advertisers.
Yeah, that's one of the areas where we will need some assistance from you, and it will be very limited. But again, as Jay mentioned, you know your community much better than we do. You will have credibility coming as a park director or a high school athletic director in your community. You will have credibility with local advertisers immediately, as you already have that. Whereas we would be someone from the outside. So we would ask for some assistance on your part to identify the most likely advertisers. Quite frankly, this program won't succeed unless we both are successful in identifying and securing advertisers. We'll do the legwork, but we would ask you to help point us in the right direction to begin with.
That's the important part. We'll be doing the great bulk of the work as far as contacting them. We're just asking for a simple list of good potential advertisers.
Okay, so moving along, step 5, as you see on the slide, would be the actual installation, and we handle all of the installation. We include not only getting the equipment to you, but also then the actual install as well. And as part of that, and this sort of speaks to the question that was asked a little bit earlier relative to the existing scoreboards. ScoreRewards utilizes a process that we call ScoreRestore, and ScoreRestore is a patented program that Sportable Scoreboards incorporates, and basically it faces over an existing board. So an existing scoreboard is there, and you can see it. It may not show up very well in your screen, but as you see that top photo on the far right of your screen, that top photo is an old light bulb board. Okay, it's a dilapidated board. That board's in bad shape. Not only are many of the light bulbs out, but the vinyl has peeled off, and so it's difficult to read and so forth. All right. We come in with a completely new face, and we face directly over the existing scoreboard. All right. This not only includes a new face, but it's completely new electronics. And one of the things that we hear said about Score Restore, as we hear Score Restore described, and I want to be real clear on this, Score Restore is not a refurb. All right, it's not a refurbished scoreboard. It is, we say that it is a new way to receive a new scoreboard.
And we're not rebuilding your existing board. As well as the refurb thing, people talk about coming in and refurbishing their existing board. That's really not what it is. It's not. We're not pulling out old components and putting in new components. It's a Score Restore product is a new scoreboard that we manufacture here, and we bring it out and install it over the face of your existing board. The existing board is strictly used as a mounting structure.
Yeah, the refurb reference bothers me because I think about a refurb like a cell phone that somebody dropped in the lake, or some other type of product that's been reworked and repaired. And to Jay's point, that's not what this is. This is the only thing that is pertinent is the structure. We use the structure that's in place, and if you're familiar with scoreboard installations at all, the cost of installation of a scoreboard, there is a significant piece of that is in the columns and in the actual installation piece. Score Restore avoids much of that cost. That's why we can offer this as part of the ScoreRewards program. The cost of columns and all of that expense can be mitigated to some degree because we're just going back over the existing structure that's in place.
Exactly. The installation of the Score Restore product is actually very, very quick, and it's very easy. It's a product we've been selling for a couple of years now and have great results.
Got a quick question, guys. How quickly can I get a free set of scoreboards for my facility up and running?
That actually depends on the length of time it takes us to acquire the minimum number of advertisers for the project. In the agreement, we give ourselves a window of up to 3 months to acquire the minimum number of sponsors or advertisers. That is, it doesn't normally take that long, but that gives us an idea of whether or not it's a viable project, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the point there is that after 90 days, after the 3-month period, if we've not secured sufficient advertisers for a project, then it's very unlikely that that project is going to move forward. Now, having said that, if we need 25 advertisers for a project, and at the end of 90 days we have 23 advertisers secured, we would come back to you and we would discuss extending that agreement. The point is, it's not open-ended, though. This doesn't just stay out there forever. And again, as Jay mentioned, we'll close that within 90 days, hopefully much quicker than that. And then the installation would be scheduled, and the boards, as far as producing the scoreboards, manufacturing those boards, I referred earlier to the fact that we have very lean lead times, and so we can turn those boards around very quickly.
Okay, moving on to the installation and support. As I mentioned earlier, each one of the scoreboards at your facility will have a new electronic message center mounted above it. These message centers are another product we manufacture. The visibility range on them is great. They're simple. They are text only. They scroll messages across that the advertiser's message will be displayed on.
Yeah, got a quick question for you. Dan asked, why not replace the board altogether instead of over the old scoreboard?
That's a great question. And Dan, you said? Okay, Dan, thanks for the question. Very good. In some instances, that's possible that would be preferable to do. The point being that we need to leverage and take advantage of the existing structure. Okay, Score Restore, as was described earlier, is really designed to utilize that existing structure, almost like I hate to say, putting vinyl siding on the side of a house. Okay, it faces over and it uses the strength and the structure of the existing board. There are instances where it would make sense to remove the current board, the existing board, leaving the columns only the columns in place. That's where you get into a lot of the expense. So, great question. In some instances, we would do that. And we would completely take down the old board. There's also a bit of a green element to this as well. We talked with Score Restore a couple of things. One, because it is a refacing of an existing structure. We can avoid some complications there from a permitting standpoint. But also, there is no old board to be discarded or to be dealt with, and so there's some values to that as well. Great question, though.
Okay, moving on to the installation. We will actually communicate with the message centers and the scoreboards from managing the advertisers' messages. What we'll do is all of our in-house people will be communicating with the advertisers and handling all of the messaging for the message centers so that we make sure that we have all of that information correct and that it's been proved by the advertiser.
Dan had one more quick question for us. What does the facility control what is on the LED message center and what is promised to the advertisers as far as messaging?
Actually, that's what I was just going through right then. We handle all of that. We take care of finding out what the advertisers want to display on the message center, and we do all of the programming for that and send it back to them for their approval and for check it out, make sure they're happy with it. Okay, moving on to installation support, maintenance. We will, the entire time, the entire duration that you are with the ScoreRewards program, your scoreboards will be covered under warranty. And the warranty, so basically the warranty will last for the duration of the agreement.
And that was a question that was referenced earlier is, okay, you know, if there is an issue, if there's a technical issue with one of the scoreboards during this 5-year period, who owns that responsibility to get that repaired? And the answer to that is we at ScoreBoards still own the equipment, but we would ask for some limited help from your part. You can see actually on the slide now on the far right, that's one of our techs, one of our technicians, and these men and women are very well equipped to walk through and diagnose a number of different issues, most of which are very simple corrections that can be done walking through with someone on the phone. The value of that is that it's very, very fast. I mean, it literally get off the phone and the thing is any kind of the issue can be repaired. That's frequently the case. In instances where it is not, we'll take the appropriate steps.
Exactly. One of the things that sets portable scoreboards apart is we do offer a 24/7 tech support. Not everybody plays games Monday through Friday 9 to 5. Most people play in the evenings, on the weekends. If you do have questions about the operation of your scoreboard, or if you encounter some kind of technical difficulty with your scoreboard, it's going to happen in the evening or over the weekend. So we've ensured that we have people available that when you call in Saturday night with a question about your scoreboard, we have somebody here who can answer the phone and help you out.
Got a couple more quick questions for you guys, advertiser related. One is specifically, how many advertisers does it take to support a typical project, and how many will we need, and what's the average cost for the advertiser?
Great questions. The question of how many does it typically take, was that the first question? How many advertisers? Typically in and around 25. And that's not an arbitrary number. And the other part of the question is how much does it cost for an advertiser? Was that the question mark? Okay. Great questions. The point on 25, and this is part of the beauty of this program, and I don't know that we've done a great job explaining this part of it on the call today. Static sponsor panels have been around forever. There's nothing new about static sponsor panels. In vinyl, a sponsor panel that says the same thing all day, every day, has been around. Not anything new about that. Having said that, the buy-in price, if you think about a scoreboard and a local bank that would be providing that scoreboard, if they are to provide that and they have their bank's name on that that sponsor panel in vinyl, the bank then is contributing the entire cost for the scoreboard. And so it's a very high buy-in price, not just the scoreboard, possibly the installation as well. With ScoreRewards, because we utilize an electronic message center, we are able to use, I mean, this is dynamic. We're able to have multiple advertisers, and it keeps the buy-in price low.
Well, the advertisers that we're going out and seek, we're not looking for a 5-year commitment from an advertiser. We're only looking for a 1-year commitment from each advertiser. So that means in year 2, we will go back to the same advertiser and to seek a new contract with them, possibly seek out new advertisers for the program. Somebody asked about the buy-in price for the advertiser as well. The buy-in price is something that we spend a great deal of time working on. Mike mentioned the typical number of advertisers we're looking for is 25, and the buy-in price will depend upon the size of the project, what the overall cost of the project is, which, you know, how many scoreboards there are, what the size of the scoreboards are, what the features are, things like that. We've done a lot of work, though, trying to keep the advertiser buy-in price at a level that is palatable, so that we're not going out and just spending a great deal of time working with these. Typically, the buy-in range for an advertiser will be anywhere from $500 to $800. And the great thing about that is that advertiser's message will not be seen on just one scoreboard. The advertiser's message will be seen on every scoreboard throughout your facility. So if you've picked up 6 baseball scoreboards for $700 for the year. An advertiser, a local bank, can be displaying their message on every single scoreboard, all 6 of those boards in your facility.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. So it's not just on the one scoreboard; it's across the scoreboards on the facility. And again, to what Jay shared a moment ago, the buy-in price on this we have intentionally kept very low. We know this is and it's part of the same reason that, as Jay mentioned as well, that it's a 1-year advertising agreement. The agreement with the partner, with you, would be a 5-year agreement. Obviously, we have a significant investment in that, but our agreement with an advertiser would only be for 1 year at a time, and they would be renewed after that, because in this climate, to ask an advertiser to pay and to commit advertising dollars for the next 5 years, that's an eternity at this point. But 1 year at a time at a very affordable buy-in price, that's the plan.
It'll also keep so we had talked earlier about how long it'll take to get the turnaround period to get everything, the scoreboards put in place and everything like that. It's dramatically cuts down on that time period. If we were going out and seeking advertisers to fully pay for everything up front and sign long commitments, it would change that 90-day window into a 12-month window easily.
Okay, great questions. Moving along. So as all of you are on the call and you think about, okay, I can understand the new scoreboard piece of this, but how much revenue are we talking about? What kind of revenue stream would we anticipate being generated out of the ScoreRewards program? Take a look at the chart that you have in front of you, and this is actually real math, a real example from a facility that we're involved with. It's a 6 scoreboard facility. You see on your chart there years 3, 4, and 5, and each of those years 3, 4, and 5, there would be a revenue stream that is created that would be $10,000 a year. All right, so you're looking at, over the course of that entire 5-year agreement, you're looking at $30,000 of revenue coming in. So again, and this is not a 20 scoreboard facility. This is a very typical 6 scoreboard park that we're looking at this kind of cash flow on.
It is, and these are not 6 really big scoreboards. These are 4 of these boards that this was taken from. 4 of the boards in this particular project were smaller, either 3 foot by 8 foot or 4 foot by 8 foot baseball scoreboards. Very typical for what you find in a lot of parks and schools. There were a couple. The other 2 boards, I think, were a mid-size 6 foot by 8 foot or maybe a 6 foot by 16 foot. So 4 pretty small boards and a couple of mid-sized, still smaller boards, and this organization is looking at receiving $10,000 a year for 3 years.
And just another point on that, and we'll continue on the revenue. As these advertisers' messages roll through, they scroll through. We mentioned 25 advertisers. Their messages are repeated throughout the course of a ball game. So in a typical, and this is kind of some general numbers, but in a typical Little League baseball game, we're talking about maybe an hour game and maybe 30 minutes beforehand. You're looking at a potential advertising having their message roll through more than 10 times. So it's more than once an inning. I guess a Little League's probably 7 innings, I guess, maybe less than that. You're looking at more than once an inning in a baseball type setting that an advertiser would have their message displayed on a scoreboard.
Which is fantastic. The scoreboard is, everybody's eyes go to the scoreboard eventually. From an advertiser's point of view, this is significantly better than a banner that may be hung in the outfield fence. Not everybody's going to be looking at the outfield fence. Everybody who attends that game will look at the scoreboard.
That's a great point. I attend a lot of youth sport type events, high school and otherwise, and the idea of selling sponsorships and selling banners and so forth certainly is not new. That's been around. And many of you likely already are leveraging that. If you're not, you probably should be to some degree. But quite frankly, despite all of the ball games that I've attended, I don't know that I could tell you one of the banners that's on the fence. I know that they're there. I don't know whose they are. I sort of look past them and I look to the scoreboard, and that's really part of what ScoreRewards is about. As Jay mentioned, if you think about a typical athletic venue, the most valuable real estate in that venue is the scoreboard. That's much more valuable than a fence, than a wall, certainly than a back of a program that no one or few people look at. A scoreboard throughout the course of a ball game has all eyes on the scoreboard, unless you're not paying attention to the scoreboard. So, which certainly does happen in some cases. But at any rate, this is valuable real estate. We need to take advantage of that. Taking this example of revenue a step further, and you see the $30,000 figure there again as a real example from a 6th scoreboard facility, $30,000 over the course of the 5 years. That is not including the equipment. And if this and the scale gets out of whack here, so don't pay much attention to the $60,000 number. That would actually be way off the slide if we had it to scale. But the point being that there is an additional $30,000 worth of equipment that is being provided. So through the course of this 5-year agreement, you're looking at not only $30,000 of actual revenue that you could use as you chose, but also an additional $30,000 for a total of $60,000 that would include the equipment as well as the revenue generating potential that would be there.
One of the things I really like about this program is the fact that we're not only providing the scoreboards, we're also providing the installation of the scoreboards. That's a really big part of cost in purchasing a new scoreboard. It's not always just the purchase of the scoreboards themselves. I've sold scoreboards to several organizations that will purchase scoreboards and have to wait another year or more to get together the funds to have the scoreboard installed. So once again, we're not only providing you with the new scoring equipment, but we're installing them for you as well, and be providing, in this case, $30,000 over the course of 3 years. Okay, so we have talked about the steps to take in order to join the program. Step 1, contact us. Talk to one of our inside sales reps or inside reps, and they'll see about getting you set up with one of the outside reps to come and see you, and they'll be able to go through the site survey form with you in a lot of cases and actually go out and help you fill that out and take some photos of your existing scoreboards. Send that back to us. We'll put together a partner agreement, and that'll detail all the information that you need as far as what exactly we'll be providing for you and the amount of revenue that you can look to see potentially earn from this program. So we've got the agreement, you've signed off on it, you've sent it back to us, and then we go out and we start seeking advertisers. Once the minimum number of advertisers are gathered, about 20 to 25 I think is the number, and in most cases, then we will schedule a time to manufacture the scoreboards and send them out for installation. Year 3 of the agreement rolls around, you can start seeing a little bit of money off this, and after the 5 years is over, the scoreboards and the message centers belong to you.
And we'll talk, I think we hopefully have a slide here in a minute about, okay, what are the other options after 5 years, or we can at least talk to that.
Okay, definitely. Okay, so now we're getting to the frequently asked questions portion of this, and let's start off with, does my facility qualify for ScoreRewards? That's a good question. Not necessarily every single facility will qualify for the program. The ideal candidate will have multiple scoreboards, anywhere from 3 or more, but that it's not a hard and fast rule, 3 or more. It kind of depends on the size of the boards themselves. It boils down to total project cost. If you have 3 small scoreboards, you'll probably qualify for the program. If you have 2 mid-sized scoreboards, you'll probably qualify for the program. 1 large scoreboard, you could probably qualify. But if you have a single small scoreboard, there's a good chance that you just will not qualify for the program.
Yeah, the ScoreRewards is not designed for a single park or a single scoreboard type of a facility. So if you have typically at least a small one, it's difficult for us to quantify that exactly. But if it's a baseball facility that has 1 small 8x4 foot baseball board, probably not right for ScoreRewards, or would not be right for ScoreRewards. If it's a facility with multiple boards, then that's a different story, and that's really when it starts to make a lot of sense.
But if you have any questions, if you think, I'm not sure if I qualify, I don't know, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to talk to you about it, and we'll help make that determination and see where we can go with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let us make that call on that, whether you qualify or not.
Okay, can I become a partner with indoor scoreboards as well as outdoor scoreboards? Definitely. Actually, the ideal candidates a lot of times will have both indoor and outdoor scoreboards. It'll be a school facility with a football board, a baseball scoreboard, and a couple of basketball scoreboards. We can provide you with new scoring equipment for all of those facilities, as well as electronic message centers that will be mounted above them. And once again, that's a really good example for advertisers as well, because advertisers will have their message displayed to all of the people attending those sports throughout the year.
Okay, another common question that we have fielded, and that's really what this FAQ is, the frequently asked questions. These are questions that we are getting asked a lot, and so we have these slides pre-prepared, obviously, and then in just a moment we'll get into some Q&As and get back to some of your questions. I know we have several questions that are still out there that we need to address. So the other question that we frequently run into is, do I need to run any control cable to my scoreboard? And the answer to that is no. Restore, which is the process of facing over the existing boards. Score Restore comes standard with wireless. With a wireless controller, which you see there on the image on the right, it communicates wirelessly to the scoreboard, so there is no additional cable that would need to be run whatsoever.
We actually have a fantastic wireless system. I know we're continually improving our wireless control system, and I think the range on it currently is about 1,000 feet usually for outdoor applications.
Yeah, the range on it, what we claim it is actually much better than what is claimed, because it's incredibly robust. I think years ago there were a lot of issues with some wireless things. There were several concerns. The technology in wireless communications has advanced considerably, and this is extremely reliable and has a significant range at this juncture. Another question that we run into is, do I have to replace my scoreboard with a scoreboard of the same size? The answer to that is generally yes. There can be some exceptions to that. Someone earlier asked the question about why not just remove the existing board and install a new board. That can be an option at times, but generally the answer will be that it needs to be replaced with the exact size that is currently there. And you can see that the necessity of that is you're looking at the photos. Let's look at that far left photo where you see the green board that's being installed directly over the face of an old black light bulb board, and you can see it being dropped on there, dropped over the face of it in the middle photo. That's on the far left. You see it on the far right as well. You see the black scoreboard back behind. That's the old scoreboard, and we're utilizing that existing structure. And so it's imperative that the new scoreboard is of similar size as the existing board that's there.
How do I determine if my existing scoreboard structure can be reused? That's one of the things that we ask for on the site survey form. Is we ask for you to include photos, digital photos of the existing scoreboard, as well as existing scoreboard's mounting structure. We need to make sure that the posts for the existing structure are in alignment, and they're in good shape, and they'll hold up not only the old board but the new board as well. Not that the new boards necessarily add a whole lot of weight to it, but we just want to make sure we don't get a board put up there and then everything collapses a year into it. How to ensure your success in the partnership program. One of the things we'll be doing with the partnership program is we'll actually be asking you, I think we touched on it earlier, for a list of prospective, once the agreement is signed and you're on board, we'll be asking you for a list of potential advertisers in your area. And like I mentioned, we'll be contacting the Chamber of Commerce and the local Rotary Club. We'll also be putting together a press release for your local newspaper to kind of get the word out there to potential advertisers. Not a whole lot of input on your part, but some, just to help speed things along a little bit.
Well, the reality is we have a lot of programs and projects that are in the queue, and we've got a lot of things that we need to work on. And this is the model here for ScoreRewards is a great program. We're extremely excited about it, and we've had an incredibly strong response. And so the reality is that we need your help to push your program along. We're not asking you to do the legwork. Certainly, we'll handle all of the legwork. But you know, as you enter this program, and again, thinking back about the charts with the revenue opportunities and so forth, and not to mention new equipment sooner rather than later, we do need your help to push these programs along. And as Jay mentioned, that would be helping us identify advertisers, communicating with the local Chamber of Commerce, communicating with the local newspaper perhaps, and Rotary clubs and some other ideas there to make sure we get the word out in your community about the opportunity. to do this, because when you think about local advertisers, and I'm sure again with a group this big on the phone, and you think about the young people that maybe participate in athletics on these teams, there are a lot of connections already with advertisers. Maybe it's someone who's a local advertiser who just has wanted to be a good community partner, and so they've continually, they've helped the program, helped support the programs financially. Maybe it's a parent of a child that plays on one of these teams, and they own a business, or they're in a position of influence on a local business, and they want to take advantage of that. So certainly we could and would ask for your help in pushing that along. And the reality is that when that part of it is successful and advertisers are secured, that's when the program moves forward.
Well, it's your community. You can identify these people much quicker than we can. We can identify them, but it'll take us a little bit longer.
Okay. You know, another thing that I think of as we're talking here, and I think it's worth mentioning, kind of gave the example earlier about a local bank that may sponsor a scoreboard. And historically in the past, they've sponsored it, and they've had a sponsor panel, and that sponsor panel is static. Again, part of the beauty of this is that this is real advertising. This is not positioned to an advertiser as a sponsorship. This is not an ad in the back of a program or a banner on a fence, which really has a lot more to do with branding than it does advertising. Think about it in the context of a sponsor panel for a static sponsor panel for a bank, and it may say whatever the name of the bank is, the local bank, and that's the sponsor panel. If it's static, that is really branding that bank as a good community partner. With an electronic message center and with that signage, all of a sudden now they have the opportunity to do real advertising. They can scroll a message that says, "Call us. Have you considered refinancing lately? Call us at such and such number to see how this could work for you." Things like that. All of a sudden, that's not just branding for that bank. That's real advertising for that bank, and that brings people in the door. Similar application for a fast food restaurant, insurance agents, so forth and so on. A lot of local opportunities that are now afforded with electronic sign that simply aren't viable in an old static sponsor panel. So if the question is, how do I get started? I want one. I've heard enough. I'm on board. I would like to move forward. I would like to get involved in this program and learn more about it. Well, the answer to that is fairly simple. You need to give us a call. You see the 800 number on the screen there. You can also certainly visit our website, which is and I believe that's on a slide somewhere, but it's ScoreRewards.com, and there's a hyphen between score and rewards. I think that's at the bottom. Here we go. Let me advance that. Thank you, Mark. There, I knew it was on a slide somewhere. So here's some contact information, phone numbers, as well as the website address. That's where we would refer you to begin with, and hopefully as you leave this call, get in touch with us as quickly as you can. Again, this is all about, for us, it's about prioritizing projects that we think are the most viable and that can move to fruition as quickly as we can. And so I would encourage you to not hesitate. We already have several projects we are working on, but we will evaluate yours very quickly and hope to move forward with that. So let's see, Mark, as far as other discussions, want to just kind of leave it for a Q&A time. I know we're probably another 10 minutes away from the top of an hour, but we can open up for some questions that we have still outstanding.
Great. A couple questions coming in that I think you guys may have addressed, but maybe we can speak to them specifically. A little bit about the wireless controller and the power requirements at the existing structure. What are the requirements? How difficult is it? What do we need to put our scoreboard in over an existing structure?
As we mentioned, all of the new scoreboards, all the ScoreRewards boards come with a wireless control system. The wireless control system, the controller will either need to be plugged into a 110 outlet, a standard 120-volt 110 outlet, or we do have a rechargeable battery system available for that controller as well. The power requirements for the new scoreboard, it's 120-volt power. It's I can't recall off the top of my head exactly what it is, but if your existing power was sufficient for powering your old scoreboard, there's no reason why it shouldn't be sufficient for powering the new scoreboard, especially if your old scoreboard is a light bulb board. The new ScoreStore boards use LED digits. They're rated for 100,000 hours of use. They use literally a fraction of the amount of power that an old incandescent light bulb scoreboard would use.
And if you don't have your calculator handy, that's 100,000 hours is something like 11 and a half years
of constant use.
Continual use. So LEDs don't burn out often.
Well, Happy even gave us good luck to Murray State in the NCAA finals, and we appreciate that, Happy. He's obviously knows our local team is doing really well, and we're so excited about that. And they're getting set to play Thursday.
Very good, Happy. Thanks for the shout out on that.
Yeah, really good. I got one from Paul. He wanted to know about how messages are updated and input into each of the scoreboards.
As far as the messages being updated, okay, that's a terrific question. We manage the messaging here. We manage our discussions and what would go on a message with an advertiser. We control and we manage all of those components here. We have software that does that for us. Now, having said that, we will need some assistance from you as messages are updated, and it's very simplistic. It's a file that would be emailed to you. That would then be downloaded via USB port from your PC onto our controller. The controller speaks wirelessly to the signs, and the messages are updated that way. And that's a real fast version of that. But it's a fairly simplistic process. It's not very complicated. It doesn't take much time. But again, you hook up your controller to the internet. Basically, the messages are uploaded or downloaded from our site to the controller and then sent to the scoreboards. Good question.
Dan has a good question. He has a 5x8 board in an indoor facility, and he only has one board, but he has year-round sports in that facility. And so he wanted to know if he's a candidate. Would he be potentially a candidate for the ScoreRewards program?
Yeah, we'd probably need to do some math and take that one offline and see. One scoreboard typically is not what this program is designed ideally for. But having said that, let's take that one offline. I just that was Dan. Who asked that? Dan, let's take that one offline and learn a little bit more about what you've got and what type of attendance and so forth. I mean, really, what this comes down to for us is securing advertisers. That's really what this is about, and we have certain parameters that really need to be reached in order to make it a viable project. And so let's discuss that later. We'll get in touch with you, and we're certainly welcome you to call in, and we'll get that one addressed.
All right. What if I currently have sponsorship deals in place currently with some of my static sponsor panels and whatnot?
Actually, we can work around that. If you have contracts with the existing advertisers, then there are a couple of different options we can do. If you have scoreboards that you obtained through Pepsi, for example, and you have a beverage contract with Pepsi, we can actually put the Pepsi logo on the new scoreboard, and so you will still remain, your contract with them will still be upheld. We can also ensure that we can ensure Pepsi that we will not assure them that we will not contract with the other beverage, Spencer, Coke, or whoever it is. They get a little sticky about that kind of stuff.
You know, on the pre-existing advertisers or sponsorships, it can become a little bit tricky. Typically, it's not, to Jay's point, it's not going to be difficult for us to navigate around that. Normally, it's not a problem. We would encourage you, as you participate in ScoreRewards, however limited other advertisers are, helps us move ScoreRewards forward faster. But we can navigate around most any of those arrangements. That's typically not going to be an issue.
It's just something we need to be made aware of up front.
I have another one. What are my options at the end of the 5-year contract?
Okay, you've got really a couple of options. The one that we would prefer, it's a good question. One that we would prefer is that we renew our agreement and extend the agreement for another term, and there's a significant value in doing that. We hope, first of all, that you're impressed enough with the service that you've received. You're thrilled with the scoring equipment that has been used then for 5 years, and you're thrilled with the revenue stream that we showed you on the graph earlier. So the hope would be that we extend that agreement and continue that, and not to mention an upside is, as long as we are under agreement, the scoring equipment is under warranty. So that's kind of option one. Another option would be that we shake hands and part as friends, hopefully, and you own the scoring equipment from that day forward, and you manage it on your own. And that certainly is a viable option, and that will be your call to make how you want to handle that.
All right, a couple more, and I think we'll have to wrap it up, guys. Do I have to get the same color or sport functionality as the old board that I'm going to be replacing?
No, absolutely not. As we mentioned earlier, these are brand new scoreboards that we manufacture. We can manufacture them, and we can use basically any color that you want. We can actually change up sports. It doesn't even have to have the exact same functions as your existing scoreboard. If you have a football field that is now currently being used for soccer, we can actually replace a football scoreboard with a soccer scoreboard. As long as the dimensions are the same, that's the only guideline we have, basically.
All right, let's see a couple more here. Will you remove our scoreboards if you can't find enough sponsors?
Okay, good question. So that would be, I guess the question is in subsequent years. Let me back up. We don't move forward at all until on the program in the first year until the adequate number of advertisers are secure. Okay, so and Jay mentioned earlier a 90-day period that we have, 3 months that we'll begin, and we hope to move forward much more quickly than the 3-month period. Having said that, in subsequent years of the agreement, if the question is, okay, we enter agreement with you, in subsequent years, some years down the road, something catastrophic happens to the community, whatever that case may be, and it's difficult for us to secure advertisers, the scoreboards will stay. We're not going to come back in and take down the existing scoreboards. We may, in some instances, remove the electronic signs. We will leave that option open, and this is spelled out actually in the agreement. We would leave that option open, but we are well, our commitment would be that we would not come back in and remove scoreboards. That's not going to happen.
I'm going to take about one more question, and Paul might get the final one. If you renew your contract at the end of 5 years, do you get another scoreboard?
In most cases, there won't be any need for new scoreboards. The existing boards we've already installed, the life expectancy of these boards, as we mentioned earlier, the LEDs are rated for 100,000 hours. These scoreboards last 10 plus years easily. So really your existing boards will be in good shape still. There won't be a need to go out and replace them. So we will just go out and continue to seek out advertisers each year and continue splitting the revenue from the advertisers with you in subsequent years of the contract.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for today. We're going to get you out just under an hour. We appreciate you attending today's webinar for the ScoreRewards Partnership Program. We are very excited about it. If you did not get your question answered or have some further questions, please give us a ring. And understand that this webinar is being recorded and will be available to review to you to hear it again and to listen to some of the details a little bit more closely if we might have hit you with a lot of information at once.
Or if there's anybody else in your organization that was not able to tune in today, you can direct them towards the recorded version and they can watch it at their leisure.
Right, and that you'll get a link. You'll be updated. All attendees and people who signed up for this webinar will get a link to that recording, and it should come to you in a few hours. If the worst case scenario, it'll get to you tomorrow. You can just follow the links and listen to the recording, and you can hand it off to anybody you need. Again, we appreciate you showing up today and listening to our webinar. We hope you have a great day. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.